The antlers still hang on Uncle Monkee's wall. At night, they cast shadows that move independent of light sources. Out on the icy edge of the Ontonagon Indian Reservation, winter tears reality down to its raw frame. On the ancestral land of the Lake Superior Chippewa, twilight clings like smoke, thin sunlight bleeding through bare limbs, casting bone-deep shadows across untouched snow. Uncle Monkee earned his name from the E4 Mafia. His name, paired with an obvious joke, became his permanent identity. The name stuck. So did the memories. As young men, Uncle Monkee and his cousins Race and Alex Itoo spent their livelong days hunting and fishing. Rain or shine, in freezing heat or sweltering cold, nothing short of a legion of monsters could keep them from the woods. They inhabited the forest from childhood, moving through it with the confidence of those who had not yet learned what should be feared. Sound travels unnaturally in deep winter. Voices die in the muffled silence of snow, while the distant cracking of frozen lakes carries for miles, sharp and clear. The forest remains perfectly still until disturbed, white as bleached bone, concealing whatever moves beneath perception's surface. The air itself held a biting chill, each breath a frosty plume. The tribal elders filled their heads with tales of mighty heroic hunters slaying forest-dwelling spirits and monsters. These weren't mere entertainment but inoculation. Stories of wendigos carried embedded warnings. Don't kill for sport, practice generosity, waste nothing. These lessons sank beneath conscious thought, later drowned in peppermint schnapps and youthful arrogance. The snow was deep that late December week when they fired up their snowmobiles and headed into the deep, dark woods. Their snowmobiles carved temporary wounds in the pristine surface, healing instantly behind them. Night gathered them around flames that barely pushed back the darkness. The scent of wood smoke mingled with the sharp, minty aroma of schnapps. They shared a pint of peppermint schnapps, bragging and boasting of past hunts, ribbing each other over easy shots missed, as hunters are wont to do at hunting camp. On a more serious note, they talked of the guardian spirits of the forest and what they would do if they ever crossed paths with one. The general consensus: piss their breeches and run like scared rabbits, though they swore to go down fighting, to empty their weapons before running, leaving no one behind. These were promises made to be broken. No one slept well that night. Dreams of a talking bird punctured rest. Strange noises woke them, labored breathing, and the crunch of something attempting stealth in crusty snow. Something circled the camp with deliberate patience. The air felt heavy, charged with an unseen presence. Only slightly hungover, they were up before dawn cracked. Breakfast was just a shot of schnapps, hair of the dog as it were. They spread out in a short skirmish line within sight of each other as they tramped through deep snow on their snowshoes, looking for deer spoor. Race's sharp whistle cut through the silence, strange tracks leading from the direction of their camp into the dark forest. Not quite moose, not quite human. Bipedal, with what appeared to be the animal's balls dragging through deep snow. After another shot of liquid courage, they silently followed the strange tracks. They quickly caught up, close enough to hear it crashing through the forest, but the tracks led into the darkest shallow coulee, hidden by long shadows. What they could see was the cloud of hot breath from some large animal, a comfort implying that whatever they tracked was a living, breathing creature. No shadow, no matter how dark, could hide the overwhelming scent of rotting flesh. The sun was reluctant to show its light, coming up much slower than usual, it seemed to Uncle Monkee. The rot arrived on the wind, faint at first, then thick and choking. Fear clung like rust to the tongue, dry, bitter, and hard to spit out. The sun finally rose wan and weak from the storm clouds, fighting for dominance of the sky, when the intrepid hunters caught sight of the quarry less than 50 yards away in the thick underbrush. The sight and smell of the never-before-seen giant creature nearly unmanned them. What they saw looked like the south end of a northbound emaciated moose walking on just its hind legs, but something very wrong with its huge head, twisted unnaturally, empty eye sockets exposing white bone beneath rotting flesh. By silent signs, they all aimed at the alleged wendigo and emptied their weapons magazines into the monster. They saw it go down in a hail of gunfire as they turned and ran back toward camp and the dubious safety of their snowmobiles. They heard it bellow in pain, a sound like a dying moose that pursued them through the trees. Before they were out of breath, they slowed their retreat. Fairly sure they weren't being chased, they agreed their aim was true and the monster had gone down. slowing their pace while reloading their rifles. Elation at slaying their monster made their travel back to the snowmobiles easy. Back at camp, they had another powwow as they made a hot meal. After another shot of liquid courage, they set their course of action, rapidly breaking camp and stowing gear on their snowmobiles as winter shadows grew longer. Backtracking their trail on their snowmobiles, it was easy to follow despite waning light. Still, it was full dark by the time they made it back to where they had shot the alleged wendigo, marked by spent brass from their rifles littering the ground. Just beyond the pile of spent brass, they could see wolves claiming their share of the kill. The wolves ran as they chased them away with snowmobiles, a good sign that the corpse was not of some supernatural monster. The wendigo turned out to be a giant two-headed bull moose, the antlers of two moose locked in battle to the death. One moose, dead before they shot the live one, had been reduced to bone with hide strips dangling, entangled in the other moose's front legs, also reduced to bony stumps. Somehow, the surviving moose had learned to walk upright on its hind legs, the head of the defeated moose creating a strange-looking mess that resembled and smelled like the dreaded legendary wendigo. They took the heads and antlers back home as proof of their tale, but that was the wrong thing to do, for their luck turned foul. They were not treated as heroes for dispatching a legendary forest monster. In their minds, they realized, if the legend of the wendigo could be based in reality, did that mean other legends were also based in reality? The forest had shown them something they couldn't unsee. They lost their lust for hunting and fishing and started doing stupid things, reckless acts of self-destruction that seemed like fitting tributes to what they'd witnessed. Uncle Monkee stole and wrecked a neighbor's car while drunk and wound up in jail, facing a minimum of 5 years. While incarcerated, Race died of alcohol poisoning, aspirated while passed out, drowning in his vomit. Alex blamed himself for his brother's death. They had engaged in a violent argument until Alex left his brother alone. Alex, in a fit of depression over Race's death, got hammered and drove his snowmobile onto a deep lake with mushy spring ice. They found his snowmobiles but never recovered his body from the black water. In his cell, understanding crystallized, they hadn't killed a wendigo. They had become one. The legends weren't about monsters in the forest, but the monsters men become, when forgetting respect for life's balance. The hunger that followed Uncle Monkee through prison corridors wasn't physical. It was the void left by disconnection from natural law, from teachings they had mocked. Each night he dreamed of antlers locked in eternal combat, of eyes empty as winter sky, of breathing that wasn't his own. The wendigo had claimed them after all, not through teeth and claw, but through the slow consumption of spirit. Uncle Monkee eventually joined the military as part of his parole conditions and managed to turn his life around. He no longer drinks, he no longer hunts, yet sometimes in deepest winter, he hears something moving through snow outside his window, something that knows his name and waits for recognition. The tribal elders had understood all along. The wendigo isn't what consumes flesh, it's what consumes spirit. The Ontonagon wendigo may be nothing but antlers and bone dust now, but the wound it carved remains raw and open. The forest keeps score of every transgression. If you've glimpsed what exists at the edge of where reality thins, if you've heard breathing that wasn't human in the darkness of wilderness night, DeadNet Studios wants your testimony. Submit your encounter to deadnetstudios@gmail.com. In sharing these moments when your blood ran cold, we take back power from the shadows.
In the shadows of the digital night, we've wandered far and seen some sights, from haunting tales to eerie lights. DeadNet Studios, where fear ignites. So long, farewell from the crimson hollows. We'll be back again with more tales to follow. Keep the lights dimmed and your curiosity high. For in DeadNet's realm, the spirits never die. We've danced with their stories wildly untamed. With the video's end, we take a little rest. They find the shadows every best. So long, farewell from the cliffs and hollows. We'll be back again with more tales to follow. Keep the lights dimmed and your curiosity